Every morning, somewhere in the world, a business owner opens their laptop in a quiet home office, coffee steam rising beside the keyboard, and spends the first 2 hours copying data between apps. They move leads from one spreadsheet to another. They send the same follow-up emails manually. They update project boards by hand, while notifications ping relentlessly in the background. It's not glamorous work. It's the invisible tax that small businesses pay every single day. Here's the thing most people miss. The bottleneck isn't a lack of tools. It's the gap between the tools you already have. That gap is where Make.com lives. And understanding what it actually does might change how you think about running a business entirely. Let me explain. Make.com is a visual automation platform. Picture a digital whiteboard glowing on your screen, where you drag and drop different apps and connect them with lines, like drawing a flowchart in a modern conference room. Each connection represents a trigger and an action. When something happens in one app, something else happens automatically in another. A customer fills out a form on your website. That information flows into your CRM. A welcome email sends itself. A task appears in your project management tool. A row populates in your spreadsheet. All of it happens in seconds, without you touching anything, while you're walking the dog or sitting in a meeting with your team around a glass table. This isn't science fiction. This is what thousands of businesses quietly use every day. But here's what makes Make.com different from simpler automation tools. It handles complexity. You can build scenarios with multiple branches, like a river splitting into streams across a terrain map. If a lead comes from Europe, do this. If they're from North America, do that. If they've purchased before, skip the intro sequence and send them straight to the loyalty offer. Conditional logic, filters, routers, error handlers. The visual interface shows all of it laid out like a blueprint spread across an architect's drafting table, every pathway visible at once. If you're running a business and you've ever felt like you're drowning in repetitive tasks, this matters more than you might think. And if you're finding value here, consider subscribing because we break down practical business technology like this every week. Now, let's talk about why this actually matters for your bottom line. The real cost of manual work isn't just time, it's attention. Every time you switch between apps, your brain pays a tax. Research in cognitive science suggests context switching can eat up to 40% of productive time. That's not a small leak, that's a flood. Imagine a warehouse worker walking back and forth across a concrete floor all day, carrying one item at a time instead of using a conveyor belt. That's what manual data entry does to your mental bandwidth. Automation isn't about replacing humans. It's about freeing humans to do what humans do best, which is think, create, and make decisions. Here's a flip side worth considering though. Not every process should be automated. Some businesses rush to automate everything and lose the personal touch that made customers loyal in the first place. A handwritten thank you note scanned and emailed automatically loses something essential. The question isn't just, what can I automate? It's what should I automate? And what deserves to stay human? That tension is worth sitting with. So how do you actually get started with Make.com without getting overwhelmed? Let me walk you through a framework that works. First, you need to map your current workflow before you touch the platform. Grab a notebook or open a blank document on your screen, cursor blinking in the quiet of your workspace. Write down one repetitive task you do every week. Just one. Maybe it's sending invoice reminders. Maybe it's adding new subscribers to a list. Maybe it's updating a report. Now, break it down into steps. What triggers it? What information moves? Where does it end up? This is the part most people skip, and it's exactly why most automation projects fail. They jump into the tool without understanding their own process first. The core surprise here is this. Make.com's real power isn't the automations themselves. It's the business thinking it forces you to develop. When you map a workflow visually, you start seeing inefficiencies you never noticed. You spot redundant steps. You find opportunities to simplify before you even automate. The tool becomes a mirror for your business logic, reflecting patterns back at you like sunlight bouncing off a calm lake at dawn. Once you've mapped your process, sign up for a free Make.com account. The free tier gives you enough to build real automations and test them without spending $1. When you log in, you'll see a clean dashboard with a button to create a new scenario. Click it. The canvas opens, a blank white space waiting for your first module, like an empty stage before the actors arrive. A module is just an app connection. Search for the first app in your workflow. Maybe it's Gmail, maybe it's Google Sheets, maybe it's a form tool like Typeform. Add it to the canvas. A purple circle appears glowing softly, ready to be configured. Now you tell it what to watch for. A new email, a new row, a new form submission. This is your trigger. Next, add another module. This is your action. What should happen when that trigger fires? Connect them with a line. That line is the flow of data, like water moving through pipes beneath a city street. Test it. Make.com lets you run scenarios manually first so you can see exactly what happens before you turn on the automation for real. Watch the data flow across the canvas. Green check marks appear as each module succeeds. It's oddly satisfying, like watching dominoes fall in perfect sequence across a wooden tabletop. Start small. One trigger, one action. Get that working perfectly before you add complexity. This is where most beginners go wrong. They try to build a 20-step automation on day one and get lost in the weeds. Simplicity scales, complexity collapses. A practical tip worth mentioning. Make.com has templates for common workflows, things like posting new blog content to social media or syncing contacts between platforms. These are worth exploring because you can reverse engineer how they're built and learn the patterns. Industry documentation and community forums are also surprisingly helpful. Real users share their scenarios and troubleshoot together. It's like having access to a global team of consultants, all working in different time zones, lights glowing in home offices from Tokyo to Toronto. But here's a moral tension worth naming. Automation creates efficiency, but it also creates dependency. If Make.com goes down or changes its pricing, your workflows stop. If you haven't documented what you built, you're locked into a system only you understand. The smart move is to treat automation like infrastructure. Document it, test it, build redundancy where it matters. Don't let convenience become a single point of failure. Let's bring this home. Make.com is not magic. It won't fix a broken business model or replace strategic thinking. What it will do is give you leverage. It takes the repetitive, predictable parts of your operation and handles them reliably while you sleep, while you travel, while you focus on the work that actually moves the needle. Getting started is simpler than most people expect. Map one workflow, build one scenario, test it until it works, then do it again. The businesses that win in the next decade won't be the ones with the most employees or the biggest budgets. They'll be the ones that understand how to connect their tools, automate their processes, and protect their most valuable resource, which is human attention. This is not financial advice or a guarantee of results. Your outcomes depend on your strategy, your execution, and your willingness to iterate. But the opportunity is real, and it's accessible. So here's my question for you. What's one task you do every week that you'd love to never do manually again? Drop it in the comments. I'd genuinely like to know. And if this helped you see automation differently, hit subscribe. We go deep on practical business technology every week. No hype, just strategy.